Good morning, students. Welcome to chemistry class. This is Vivian Razu presenting the today's lesson. Today's topic is the periodic properties. In the periodic properties, we are going to discuss the atomic radius. Let us go to the lesson. You know that in the long form of the periodic table, the elements are arranged in the increasing order of the atomic numbers. It reflects the electronic configurations of elements. In the long form of periodic table, each period starts when the electron enters in a new shell. According to that, the first period has only 2 elements, second and third periods have 8 elements each, fourth and fifth periods have 18 elements each, and sixth and seventh periods have 32 elements each. As this periodic table reflects the electronic configurations, the elements which possess the similar properties lie in the same group of the periodic table. We already discussed that there is a relation between the electronic configurations and the properties of the element, as the properties mainly depend upon the number of electrons in the valence shell. As the elements in the group possess the same number of electrons in the valence shell, they possess similar properties. The elements which possess the similar properties in a group are obtained by the addition of 8, 8, 18, 18, 32 and 32 in any group. For example, in the first group, the atomic number of first element is 1. By adding 2, we get the atomic number of second element, that is 3. By adding 8, we get the atomic number of third element, that is sodium. By adding one more 8, we get the next element in the same group, that is 19. By adding 18, we get the atomic number of the next element rubidium in the first group, that is 37. By adding one more 18, we get the atomic number of the next element cesium, that is 55. By adding 32, we get the atomic number of the next element of francium in the same group. In the same way, in the second year group or second group, 4 plus 8 12, 12 plus 8 20, 20 plus 18 38, 38 plus 18 56, 56 plus 32 88. In the same way, in the last group, that is in the 18th group or 0 group, 2 plus 8 10 plus 8 18 plus 18 36 plus 18 54 plus 32 86 plus 32 118. In this way, the intervals of the atomic numbers in the elements of group are 8, 8, 18, 18, 32 and 32. These are the intervals between the atomic numbers of the elements in a group. That means from this we can understand that the elements with similar properties repeated certain regular intervals when the elements are written in the increasing order of the atomic numbers. The periodicity and periodic properties. The repetition of elements with similar properties at regular intervals is called periodicity. The property which repeats at regular intervals, or there is a regular gradation in the property from one element to the next in the period or group, is called periodic property. Atomic size, ionic size, ionization energy, electronegativity, electron affinity, valence, etc. are the periodic properties. Now let us go to the first periodic property, that is atomic radius. You know that atom is a microscopic particle. Its size is measured by assuming it as in the spherical shape. So the size of the atom is expressed in terms of atomic radius. The atomic radius can be defined as the distance from the center of the nucleus to the outermost shell of electrons in the atom of any element. So how is the atomic radius of an element defined? The distance between the center of the nucleus and the electron present in the outermost shell of the atom can be defined as the atomic radius. But there are some limitations in measuring the atomic radius. What are the limitations in measuring the atomic radius? One is atoms cannot be isolated. We cannot handle a single atom. Even you take some micrograms of substance, it contains millions of atoms. So the size of the atom or the radius of the atom cannot be calculated. So this is one of the limitation in measuring the atomic radius. What is it? We cannot handle a single atom, that is, atom cannot be isolated. The second one is, you know that electron revolves around the nucleus in the form of a three-dimensional wave. The wave spreads in the region around the nucleus. That is, electron is not at a fixed distance from the nucleus all the times. Sometimes at some instants it comes close to the nucleus, and in some other instance it moves away from the nucleus. That is, the distance of electron from the nucleus is not constant. Moreover, according to the uncertainty principle, the position of an electron cannot be determined very precisely. That means there is no well-defined fixed boundary for the electron cloud. We consider the electron cloud which covers the maximum probability of finding electron around the nucleus as the orbital. So there is no fixed boundary to the orbital. So it is not possible to pinpoint the position of an electron precisely. Next one is, the size of the atom depends upon the type of atoms in its neighborhood and also the nature of bonding between them. That is, the atomic size of an atom is not same in all its compounds. For example, the compounds like HCl and HBr. HCl is a compound, HBr is a compound. The size of hydrogen atom may not be exactly same in HCl and HBr. In the same way, H2O, water and ammonia. Here also, the size of the hydrogen atom depends upon the number of neighboring elements. That is, it depends upon the nature of the element to which it is attached and the number of neighboring elements also. In the same way, phosphorus trichloride and phosphorus pentachloride. In these two compounds also, the size of the phosphorus atom may not be the same in both the compounds. In some cases, the nature of bond also will be changed. For example, HCl. The bond present in HCl is covalent bond, whereas in sodium chloride, the bond present between sodium and chlorine atoms is ionic bond. The nature of the bond is changed between these two compounds. So here, the similar element chlorine may not possess the same size in both the compounds HCl and NaCl. So because of these limitations, the size of the atom cannot be measured directly. Because of these limitations in measuring the atomic radius, The atomic radius is measured indirectly for different types of elements. The sizes are generally expressed in terms of effective radii. The atomic radii are generally expressed in terms of effective radii. So these are usually expressed in terms of crystal radius, covalent radius, and van der Waals radius. Let us see what crystal radius is. The crystal radius is usually used for measuring the size of metallic elements, metals. The covalent radius is used for measuring non-metals and the metals which form covalent compounds, and metals which form covalent compounds, that is less electropositive metals. And van der Waals radius is usually used for measuring the radii of non-metals which form only the covalent compounds. For inert gases also, the van der Waals radii are used for measuring the radius. Atomic radii are expressed in terms of angstrom units, nanometers and picometers. 1 angstrom unit is equal to 10 to the power of minus 8 centimeters or 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 9 meters. And 1 picometer is equal to 10 to the power of minus 12 meters. Now let us go to the crystal radius. I already told you that the crystal radius is generally used for metals. In the metals, the atoms of metal are arranged in a three-dimensional manner. This kind of arrangement of metallic atoms in a three-dimensional manner is known as crystal lattice. In this crystal lattice, same kind of atoms, that is atoms of the metal, are arranged one around the other. In this, half of the internuclear distance between the adjacent atoms of a solid metallic crystal is called crystal radius or metallic radius. The crystal radius is also known as metallic radius. What is it? There are so many atoms which are arranged in a systematic manner like this in three-dimensional way in the metals. Like this. There is a regular arrangement of atoms. Suppose this is one atom of the metal in the metallic crystal. This is the neighboring atom of the metal in the metallic crystal. These are the nuclei of those two metallic atoms, and the distance between them is d. Then crystal lattice is half of this distance. That is, crystal lattice R is equal to d by 2. So how is the crystal lattice defined? Half of the internuclear distance between the adjacent atoms of a solid metallic crystal is called crystal radius or metallic radius, as this crystal radius is mainly used for metals. Next, covalent radius. This is mainly used for the elements which form the covalent compounds. Generally for the homonuclear covalent compounds. Homonuclear covalent compounds are the covalent compounds which are made up of same kind of atoms. For example, AA, the molecule A2. The molecule A2 is made up of same kind of elements A and A which are bonded together by covalent bond. This kind of molecules are said to be the homonuclear molecules. If a molecule, a diatomic molecule, is made up of two different kind of elements known as A and B, that molecule is said to be heteronuclear diatomic molecule. The covalent radius is defined for homonuclear diatomic molecule like this. It is defined as the of the internuclear distance of two atoms held together by a covalent bond. How is it defined? Of the internuclear distance of two atoms held together by a covalent bond is called covalent radius. This is a homogeneous diatomic molecule. In this homogeneous diatomic molecule, in the formation of a covalent bond, some part of atom are overlapped with each other. Some part of atom are overlapped with each other. This part is common to both the elements. This part is common to both the elements. That means this part is overlapped between two atoms. So, half of this distance, the distance between A and A, suppose if you make this half, that half of this distance, that is this distance, is said to be the covalent radius. The covalent radii are generally used for nonmetals. In the case of a heteronuclear diatomic molecule, the distance between two atoms of different elements is measured. If the covalent radius of one of the atoms is known, the covalent radius of the other atom can be calculated. Let us see how it is. In the case of homonuclear diatomic molecule A2, covalent radius Ra is equal to AA bond length in A2 by 2. That is equal to dAA by 2. The AA bond length in A2 molecule by 2 gives the covalent radius of homonuclear diatomic molecule. Whereas in the case of heteronuclear diatomic molecule AB, the bond length D is equal to, that is bond length DAB is equal to covalent radius of A plus covalent radius of B. Here, there are two different molecules A and B. The covalent radius of A is this one and the covalent radius of B is this one. Both are not identical here. So, if the distance between A and B is measured and if one of the radii is known, we can calculate the radius of the other element. So, DAB is equal to radius of, that is covalent radius of A plus covalent radius of B. That is dAA by 2 plus dBB by 2. For metals, the crystal radius is slightly more than the covalent radius. How is this crystal radius defined? In the definition of crystal radius, we considered that two atoms are just touched to each other. Suppose these are the nuclei, this is the distance between the two atoms and half of this distance is defined as crystal radius. Whereas in the case of covalent compound, some part of atom is overlapped between two atoms like this. So, the distance between the nuclei of two atoms which are bonded together by a covalent bond is a little less than the distance between two atoms which are adjacent to each other in the metallic crystal. So, in this half is defined as the covalent radius. So, here the crystal radius is slightly greater than the covalent radius in the case of metals. The covalent radius of an atom decreases with increase in the number of bonds between them. In the covalent compounds, there is a possibility of existing multiple bonds between the same atoms. For example, in the carbon compounds, the carbon-carbon single bond exists, carbon-carbon double bond exists, and carbon-carbon triple bond also exists. In ethane, there is a carbon-carbon single bond. The formula of ethane is C2H6. There is a carbon-carbon single bond in ethane. What is this compound called? Ethane. In ethene, there exists a carbon-carbon double bond. Here, in ethine or acetylene, carbon-carbon triple bond is existed. This is ethene and this is ethine. The carbon-carbon bond is different in the three compounds. So the length of carbon-carbon single bond is experimentally found to be 1.54 angstrom units. The length of carbon-carbon double bond is found to be 1.32 angstrom units, and the length of carbon-carbon triple bond is found to be 1.20 angstrom units. Here we can observe that the carbon-carbon single bond is longer than the carbon-carbon double bond, which is longer than carbon-carbon triple bond. That means the atomic radius in the compound containing carbon-carbon single bond is more than the atomic radius of carbon in the compound containing carbon-carbon double bond, which is more than the atomic radius of carbon in the compound containing carbon-carbon triple bond. In this way, the atomic radius of carbon is not the same in all the compounds of carbon. It depends upon the nature of bond by which the atom is associated, and it also depends upon the number of neighboring atoms also. Next, van der Waals radius. Half of the internuclear distance between the two non-bonded atoms of different molecules which are very close to each other due to van der Waals forces is called van der Waals radius. What is van der Waals radius? This is also half of the internuclear distance. Crystal radius is half of the internuclear distance. The covalent radius is also half of the internuclear distance. The van der Waals radius is also half of the internuclear distance. But crystal radius is half of the internuclear distance between two metallic atoms in the crystal lattice of a metal, whereas half of the internuclear distance between two atoms in a homogeneous diatomic molecule is defined as the covalent radius, whereas half of the internuclear distance between two non-bonded atoms of different molecules which are very close to each other and due to van der Waals forces is called van der Waals radius. The atoms are not bonded to each other, but they are very close to each other due to van der Waals forces. Then half of the distance between those atoms is considered as the van der Waals radius. For example, this is an A2 molecule, this is another A2 molecule. One A2 molecule, homogeneous diatomic molecule, another homogeneous atomic molecule. Like chlorines. Suppose this is a chlorine molecule and this is another chlorine molecule. The distance between the nuclei of two chlorine atoms within the molecule is the bond length. Half of this bond length is covalent radius. Whereas in between two diatomic molecules in its solid state, the van der Waals forces exist to associate them together. You know that a gas can be converted into liquid state and liquid can be converted into solid state. In the solid state, the molecules are at their closest approach. That is, the distance between the molecules is minimum when they are in the solid state. In that solid state, still there is a gap between one molecule and the other molecule. Still there is a small gap between one molecule and the other molecule. So the half of this intermolecular distance between the chlorine atom of one molecule and the chlorine atom of a neighboring molecule, which are not bonded by covalent bond but are associated together by van der Waals force, is known as the van der Waals radius. In the metallic crystal, you observe that atoms are just touched to each other. In the covalent compound, some part is overlapped. In between the two molecules of covalent compound, there is a gap. From this, we can understand that the van der Waals radius is greater than crystal radius, which is greater than covalent radius. The van der Waals radius is greater than crystal radius, which is greater than covalent radius. Usually, the van der Waals radius is 40% more than the covalent radius. So, in this way, for metals, the radii are measured in terms of the crystal radius or metallic radius. For non-metals, the radii are measured in terms of the covalent radius or van der Waals radius. For the elements which do not form the compounds, like inert gases, the radii are measured only in terms of the van der Waals radii. Next, factors affecting the atomic radius. What are the factors on which the atomic radius depends? One is the nuclear charge. The second one is the number of orbits or shells. Number of orbits or shells according to quantum mechanical model. Orbits are to be replaced by shells. Nuclear charge, number of shells, and shielding effect or screening effect. Nuclear charge. You know that the charge of the nucleus depends upon the number of protons present in the nucleus. Number of protons present in the nucleus, that is atomic number. You know that in the periodic table, the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic numbers. When we move from left to right in the periodic table, the variation of atomic number or nuclear charge from one element to the other element is 1 unit only. Whereas in the group, the change in the atomic number is either 8 units or 18 units or 32 units when we move from one element to the other element in the group. As the atomic number increases, that is the nuclear charge increases, the force of attraction of the nucleus on the valence shell electron also increases. The force of attraction of nucleus on the valence shell electron increases as the nuclear charge increases. So the size of the atom decreases. An increase in the nuclear charge causes decrease in the size of atom. Increase in nuclear charge causes decrease in the size of atom. Okay. That means the atomic radius decreases due to decrease in the size of the atom. Next, number of shells. Suppose this is the nucleus, first shell, second shell, third shell, fourth shell, and so on. As the number of shells increases, the distance of electron from the nucleus increases. If the distance of electron from the nucleus increases, the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and electron will be decreased. As a result, the size of the atom increases. Because of the addition of more and more shells, the size of the atom increases. So, increase in number of shells causes increase in the atomic size. Increase in nuclear charge causes decrease in atomic size. Increase in number of shells causes increase in the atomic size. And the next one is the shielding effect or screening effect. What is this shielding effect or screening effect? In the case of multi-electron systems or multi-electron atoms which possess a large number of electrons, the electrons present in the inner shells repel the electrons present in the outer shell. The electrons present in the inner shell doesn't allow the electron present in the outer shell to have the complete effect of nucleus on it. That means the electrons present in the inner shells act as screens between the electrons present in the outer shell and nucleus. Because of this reason, the nucleus cannot show its complete effect on the electron present in the outer shell. This effect is known as screening effect or shielding effect. The more the number of inner shells, the more will be the screening effect. If screening effect is more, effective nuclear charge will be less. If screening effect is more, effective nuclear charge will be less. Z star. If Z is the nuclear charge, Z star is the effective nuclear charge. Z star is equal to Z minus a constant value, that is screening constant known as sigma. You will learn how to calculate this sigma value, that is screening constant value, in the next class, where Z star is the effective nuclear charge. The more the number of inner shells, the more will be the screening effect. As a result, the sigma value will be more. If sigma value will be more, effective nuclear charge will be less. What is shielding effect? The electrons in the inner shells act as screens between the nucleus and the electrons in the outer shell. As a result, nucleus cannot show its complete effect on the outer electrons. This effect is known as screening effect or shielding effect. So these are the three factors which affect the atomic radius. Increase in screening effect. If the screening effect increases, what is it cause? Increase in screening effect causes the effective nuclear charge decreases. As a result, the size of the atom increases. In these three factors, nuclear charge causes decrease in the size, and the other two factors, number of shells and shielding effect, cause increase in the atomic size. The total radius of the atom or the size of the atom depends upon the combined effect of these three, that is nuclear charge, number of inner shells, and screening effect. Let us discuss the variation of atomic radius in a period and in a group in the next class. Thank you.